Welcome back to another Rigs Remote class. Tonight we're going to be looking at another full body routine, full body mobility routine. So those of you tuned in yesterday lunchtime will be familiar with the layout of today's class. As always, all we need equipment wise is going to be some empty space, ideally on a carpet, because we're going to spend a lot of the class lying down as we go through that mobility flow. We're going to start off with a warm up. Something different today, so we're going to alternate two exercises again for that 45-second on, 15-second off rest period, but it's going to be two different exercises. So I'll just go through those now, then I'll set the timer up and then we'll get going straight away. So the first 40 seconds is going to be with your left leg. You're going to step out into a forward lunge, you're going to step back to the middle, you're going to step out into a lateral lunge, step back to the middle, and then you're going to step back into a reverse lunge. So we're going to repeat that sequence of 3 for the first 45 seconds, sorry, then we've got 15 seconds rest, and then we're going to go into some walkouts. So we're going to have our feet facing forward underneath our hips. We're going to bring our hands down to the floor. We're going to walk those hands out so we're in the top of a push-up position. We want to keep that core nice and tight. We don't want those hips to sag. We want to hold that up, and then we're just going to walk those hands back so they're close to our feet, stand ourselves back up, and then repeat. 15 seconds rest. Then we're going to go into 45 seconds of our 3 lunge sequence with our right leg, 15 seconds rest, and then we're going to repeat the walkouts for the last 45 seconds. So a 4-minute warm-up in total. So the timer's on, we're starting in 10 seconds with those left-footed lunges. So we're stepping out for the first one, then to the side, and then back. So nice step forward, keeping everything facing forward, stepping back to the middle, step into our lateral lunge, keeping that trail leg nice and straight, and then stepping back into our reverse lunge with that right leg, right shin nice and vertical. And then we're just repeating that sequence for the 45 seconds. Nice and easy here, just getting some good quality movement just to help prep us for this full body mobility flow. Another 10 seconds, alternating between that forward lunge, lateral lunge, and reverse lunge. And a 15-second rest period. So we're going into those walkouts where we've got our feet facing forward, hands are coming down to the floor. We're walking those hands out into a push-up position, and then we're just going to walk those hands back. So those hands are nice and close to our feet, standing back up, and repeating that for the 45-second period. So a nice one here to get that upper body, get that anterior core warmed up, switched on, ready for some mobility. Another 20 seconds. Nice slow quality of movement on these ones. And another 5 seconds, probably time just to squeeze one more rep in. 15 seconds rest, then we're going into our right-footed lunge sequence. So a big step out with that right foot, back to the middle, step out to the side, keeping that left leg nice and straight, both feet facing forward, stepping back to the middle, and then stepping back with that right foot, getting that left shin nice and vertical. So working our way through these, getting that lower body warmed up. little wobble there. Nice step back, another 20 seconds. So big step forward, big step out to the side, might feel a little stretch through that adductor, stepping back to the middle, and then a big step back, keeping everything in line, keeping that chest facing forward and dropping those hips to the floor. Time for one more rep. "15 seconds rest, then we're going to get into the last one of this 4-part warm-up with 45 seconds of walkouts. So feet facing forward, bring those hands to the floor, walking them out to the top of a push-up position, holding those hips nice and upright, and then walking those hands back. Standing back up and repeating this for the 45-second time period. Another 10 seconds, probably time for one more rep. There you go, guys, that's the warm-up complete. So we'll have a minute or two rest now, grab yourself a quick drink, and then we'll get into that main mobility flow in a couple of minutes' time.
Nobody can take that away from you. Oh, straight from the heart. No playing games. You gotta be true, true, true. You gotta be. Sometimes it's gonna hurt, baby. Just let your tears fall down. No need to worry about tomorrow, baby. Cause you got time to figure it out.
So everyone should be feeling nice and warmed up now after that short little warm up. Good just to get that heart rate up a little bit and get some blood flow before we go into this mobility routine. So for those of you who tuned in yesterday, you'll be familiar with what we're doing. We're going to work from our ankles up to our shoulders and neck, sequentially just going joint by joint through this mobility routine for the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to set each exercise for 45 seconds with a 15-second transition period between, just so we can get into the position, switch legs as we go along. So we're going to start with a calf pole stretch. So I'll show this one first and then I'll pop the timer on and we'll get going. So looking at that calf complex, as I've been saying in every class I've been doing, this is one that's getting beaten up at the minute with people running, people doing jumping jacks, people skipping way more than they're used to. So in terms of setting up for this stretch, we want to get into a push-up position, walk these feet a little bit further to our hands. So we've got our hips high, so we're in a bit of a triangle shape with our body. From there, we're just going to look to push our left heel down to the floor. Should be feeling that stretch through the back of the calf, getting as much weight as we can through that left heel, through that left foot. We can hook that other leg over if we want to, or we can just have it out to the side, whichever we feel most comfortable with. That's where we're starting. So I'll pop the timer on now. Just give us a 10-second counting period, and then we're starting with that calf pole stretch. That calf stretch. Going in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Pushing that heel to the floor. If you can't, still just try and angle that foot down and back, and we can sort of start to push our knee slightly forward without letting the knee come forward, just to further enhance the quality of that stretch. Nice deep breaths at all points through this mobility flow. So we should be feeling a nice stretch down the calf there. "15 seconds just to allow us to switch over to that right foot. Should feel that left calf being a little bit better already. If you haven't already, just pop us a message. If you're watching, say hello. Getting into this right leg. So exact same mirror image of what we just did on the left-hand side, pushing that right heel to the floor. We don't need to worry too much about what our hands and shoulders are doing, because we're just focusing on getting the stretch through the calf. Coming out of that one, stepping back up onto our feet. Our next one's going to be one of those controlled articular rotations that we did yesterday. So we did the neck yesterday. Today we're going to look at the ankle. So we're bringing one foot out in front of us, pointing those toes up, and then we're just going to start making big anti-clockwise or clockwise rotations. We'll do 2 clockwise and then 2 anti-clockwise. So we're just looking to take that ankle through that full range of motion, try and keep as much tension in that leg as you can. You can hold on something if you've got something to hand, just to reduce the stability demands, just so we can focus on getting that controlled rotation through the ankle, taking it to the outer limits of its range of motion, keeping tension through the rest of the body as we do so. "15-second rest period, then we're going to switch over to our other leg. So whichever leg we just didn't do, we're going to do it this time for these rotations. So standing onto that one leg, pointing those toes up, we'll go clockwise to begin with. Big rotations, trying to keep as much tension in that left leg as you can and throughout the rest of your body as you rotate. The goal here is just to limit that rotation just to the ankle joint. So 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Squeeze in another couple of those reps. Right then guys, now down onto our bums with our chest facing the floor. We're going to get into a tabletop type position. So we're on our hands, we're on our feet. We're going to bring our left foot closer to our bum. Then we're going to push it up onto our tiptoes and push that knee down to the floor. If you want to go side camera, Ben, probably just be able to show you this one a little bit better. So you're looking to push that left knee to the floor. You should be feeling a nice stretch down that left quad. You can then sort of squeeze your glutes, push your hips up a little bit, just to further accentuate that stretch there. You can then roll forward into it, let those hips come forward a little bit, let that knee really get as low to the floor as you can. You should be feeling a pretty deep stretch through the quad as you do this. Another 10 seconds on this one. Push that knee to the floor, get that big quad stretch. Then we're just going to switch to the other side. So we're going to bring that right foot close to our bum, push that knee to the floor, let our hips go forward, and we should now be feeling that on that right knee, right quad, between that knee and hip. There we go, pushing that knee to the floor, squeeze those glutes as well. And just allow for that big quad stretch through this one. You can play around with the position a little bit. As I've mentioned in previous classes, everyone's got slightly different origin points, insertion points of their muscles. So you're not everybody's going to feel the stretch the same. So just play around with different positions, find where you feel the stretch the most, and spend some time in that position there. Another 10 seconds here. Push that knee to the floor for the final 10 seconds. There we go. Dropping our bum back down to the floor, lying flat back down, but keeping that bend in our knee. We're now just going to put our left foot out to one side. We're going to angle those toes away from us, hook our right foot over, and then we're just going to pull that right knee towards our left shoulder. So we should feel a nice big stretch in that outer hip as we do so. Pretty tight area for most people, so you're probably feeling a fairly intense stretch. Nice deep breath with this, chill out for a bit and just pull that right knee towards that left shoulder, getting that stretch on the outer side of the right hip. Another couple of seconds. There we go, I'm switching sides. So we're bringing those feet back down, bringing that right foot out a little bit, turning the toes out, and then we're hooking that left leg across, clasping our hands around our left knee and just pulling it towards the right shoulder. Feeling that stretch this time now on the outside of that left glute. Probably going to find with these stretches, you've often got one side that's going to be tighter than the other. That's just due to your sort of day-to-day activities, what your dominant side is. So it's nothing to be too concerned about. Asymmetries are, you know, pretty normal. Pulling that left knee to your right shoulder for another 10 seconds. Feeling that stretch in that left glute. Coming up onto our knees, sitting our bum back onto our heels. We're now going to kick our right foot out to the side, getting that foot facing forward, our leg nice and straight, our hands out in front of us. And then we're just going to sit those hips back, and we should feel a big stretch through that right adductor now. One of the 5 mobility, hip mobility stretches we've got on a separate YouTube video. So if you haven't already, check that out when you get a spare 10 minutes, and it'll just take you through a hip mobility sequence. So something that we think is pretty important for everyone at the moment, because loads of people are sat down way more than they normally are, being in front of laptops in awkward positions at sort of work from home setups. So spending some time stretching those hips out is going to help sort of reduce the risk of any sort of lower back pain or any injuries you might get just from being sat in awkward positions. Another 10 seconds there, sitting those hips back, keeping that leg straight. Sitting our both feet back under ourselves, kicking that left foot out to the side this time. Sitting the hips back, keeping the left foot facing forward, keeping our spine nice and neutral with those hands just out in front of us to give us some support. 45 seconds on this stretch. You just move around in that position a little bit again, play around with some different positions just to make sure you're sort of feeling that stretch. Another 15 seconds, should be feeling that in the inside of that left thigh as you sat back. Right then guys, coming into our quadruped position, so we've got hands below shoulders, knees below hips. We're going to go right side first. So we're going to do some controlled articular rotations of our hip again. So we're looking to bring that knee out to the side, bring it round to the back, and then bring it back underneath us. So if I go this way, just a demo, we're going to bring it out to the side, round to the back, and underneath us, keeping the rest of our body nice and still as we do so. We'll go 1 or 2 one way, and then we'll go 2 back the other way. So just taking that hip through its full range of motion, maintaining that full body tension as we do it. So the goals with these is to isolate all that rotation at one joint, and we don't want to be compensating with our lower back, with our shoulders, with anything like that. We'll just make sure it's all moving from the joint we're looking for. So if you did your left side then or your right side, you're going to switch over now and do the opposite side. Yeah, if we go side angle. So we go side angle now. So with our right leg, we're going to bring it out to the side, round the back, bring the knee back underneath ourselves, and we're going to extend back out, bring it round and underneath ourselves. Just going to work our way through those 2 different positions for the 45 seconds, keeping everything else nice and still. So generating that tension through the rest of our body. So you often see people do these in the gym as part of a warm-up, but they're not keeping any tension. So they're just moving their legs. They're just moving their legs and moving around. They're not actually isolating the joint that we're looking to get that extra range of motion through. Another few seconds of these, squeeze another rep or 2 in. So the lower body should be feeling a lot better now after we've gone through those sort of 11, 12 different exercises. We're going to get into that upper body, starting with our cat camel. So this is our staple extension, flexion, spine exercise. So quadruped position again. looking to extend our spine, push that belly button down to the floor, and then flex our spine. We tuck our chin in, come up onto our fingertips, get a little bit of a stretch of the lats as well, and we're just going to smoothly alternate between those two positions, keeping our hips and shoulders still, pretending we've got a bit of string running through our belly button that's either pulling us towards the floor or pulling us up to the ceiling. So get you some controlled extension, flexion through the spine. Another 10 seconds. Couple more seconds on those. Once we've finished them, we're just going to sit back. Again, sit back so our bums on our heels. We're then just going to reach up overhead and just lean across, and should be feeling a nice stretch through that lat. We can put our other hand down just to support ourselves, and we're just getting a sort of a nice gentle stretch through our right lat this time, trying to keep our lower back nice and still, so we don't want to be sort of massively extending through. We just want to get that extension from that mid upper back, getting that gentle stretch through our lats. Nothing crazy with this stretch, but if you're mega tight in this area, you should still be feeling a pretty intense stretch just as you reach across, just in that sort of the muscle sort of inserts the back of the shoulder underneath your armpit. Couple more seconds on that side. Then we're going to switch over. So put our right hand down on the floor to support ourselves. Left hand comes up overhead, and then just lean across to that right hand side, getting that stretch down our left lat there. Another 15 seconds, feeling that gentle stretch through the lats. Another 5 seconds. Coming out of this one, back into that quadruped position. So we should be getting familiar with these hands below shoulders, knees below hips, as we're going to get into some reach and rotate. So we're going to reach under with our right hand. We're going to bend at that left elbow, reach as far as we can. And then we're going to rotate up and round, straightening that left arm, looking to get our right fingertips pointing towards the ceiling. We'll go straight back in on the right hand side, reaching under, rotating up and round, keeping those hips nice and still, isolating that rotation just to our thoracic, so our mid to upper back. Getting some nice movement through there. So those of you that are more mobile in this area should be looking to get that top shoulder above that bottom shoulder as you rotate towards the ceiling. And switching sides, so we're going to reach under with that left hand, we're going to bend at that right elbow, that front elbow, and we're going to rotate up and round, straightening that right arm as we come up, ending up with our left hand fingertips pointing towards the ceiling. Another few seconds, probably time to squeeze one more rep in. Now lying on our fronts, we're going to look at our shoulders for our final one of this sequence. We're going to start with our hands out in front, with our thumbs touching, our palms facing the floor. We're then going to look to bring our hands down and behind us in a sort of a snow angel type shape. So some prone snow angels. If we can, we want our head resting on the floor, keeping those hands off the floor as we do this, and looking to keep that head on the floor so you don't compensate through that lower back as you make that snow angel type shape. So another few seconds on those, making sure that head's still touching the floor, thumbs are touching at the top of each rep. Right then guys, that was today's full body mobility flow. We're gonna have a minute or two rest now, and then we're gonna finish with some core exercises. If you enjoyed that, let us know in the comments. If there's anything I missed out that you want me to include in the next class I do, let us know in the comments.
And I lace this.
So I hope you guys like that full body mobility routine, some different ones to what we did yesterday. And we'll have some different ones again on Saturday morning. We're going to finish this class now with 3 minutes of core. So for this section, you're going to need some sort of prop that you can reach out and touch, a foam roller, a water bottle, anything like that really, a chair leg, wherever you're stationed. We're just going to look at a progression on from a plank. So those of you who have been doing these classes are going to get familiar with the plank and what we're looking for there. If you're struggling with those plank holds, I'd stick with those for what we're going to do today. This way. No, even more. Sorry. I'd stick with those for what we're going to do today. But for those of you who are finding those plank holds easy, we're going to look at a progression on now where we add some anti-rotation into the anti-extension nature of the plank with some plank reaches. So in terms of setting up for it, we're going to want to get into our plank position about 4 to 6 inches away from the bottle, foam roller, whatever we've placed out in front of us. So like we've said before, that plank position is a nice straight line, ankle to shoulder, and we don't want to see that lower back too extended. We want to be pulling those hips under towards our ribs, our feet about hip width apart, our elbows underneath our shoulders, From that position there, we're going to start reaching out and touching the object in front of us, trying to minimize any rotation through those hips. So we still want that belt buckle, those hips to be square to the floor, even though we're now adding in that movement of our arm. So from this position here, we're squeezing those glutes, we're holding ourselves nice and still. We're then looking to reach out and touch, minimizing any rotation through those hips. So it's a lot tougher than the regular plank. We're going to go 30 seconds on. Because it's tougher, we're going to have a little bit of a longer rest period. So we're going to go 30 seconds rest, and we're just going to go through that 3 times. So it's going to be 3 minutes in total, 1.5 minutes of work, alternating left and right touches on that water bottle. So the timer's counting us down for 10 seconds, then we'll get into that first 30-second plank reach. Like I said, if you're already struggling with the plank, stick with that and just get 1.5 minutes of good quality plank time in. But for those of you who are finding that easy, you can progress on to these plank reaches where we're still looking to keep that tension and keep our hips dead still. Obviously, the easier you find it, the tougher you can make it by just getting yourself a little bit further away from the object that's in front of you. Couple more seconds there, and then a 30-second rest period. If you are trying this exercise for the first time, let us know in the comments what you think of it. Does it make sense? Is it a lot harder than a plank? How are you finding it? You should be finding it a lot tougher than a regular plank if you're doing it properly. Like I've said before, the goal with all these core exercises is to minimize movement, generate tension, and hold ourselves nice and still. Another 5 seconds rest, and we're getting back into that for our second time through. Two times through, 30 seconds rest, and then one final 30-second time through the plank reaches. Like I said, sort of the lighter the object out in front, the more controlled you've got to be. Obviously, you're up against a chair leg, you can be touching it fairly firmly, sort of losing that control, but you're not going to know. The goal here is to keep that tension, keep that control throughout the 30 seconds. One final 30-second time with these plank reaches. Squeezing those glutes, keeping those hips still as best as you can, minimizing that rotation and minimizing that extension through your lower back. So we still want to be pulling those hips under towards our ribs as we're doing these. There we go, guys. That is the end of today's mobility class. I hope you liked it. If there's anything you want me to include in future classes, let me know, either in the comments or through direct messages on Instagram, Riggs Performance or Riggs Fitness. The link for the hip stretches that I referenced earlier has just been added to the comments. So if you do want to spend another 10 minutes or so looking at some stretches specifically for your hips, hit that link, follow along with Sam, who will take you through that in the video. Tomorrow's class is a functional fitness with Sam at 1 p.m. So if you want to get your sweat on, get that Friday afternoon, Friday lunchtime workout in, join us again on Riggs Remote at 1 p.m. I will see you guys next on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. for another mobility focused session. See you guys then.